The giant meeting room fell silent as Intelligence Director Hak Sun stepped up to the speaking platform. Hundreds of alien representatives from across the galaxy watched with interest. This emergency session of the Galactic Council had been called, with little warning, and rumors were already spreading. Esteemed members of the Council, Hak Sun began, his voice firm and clear. Our deep space scouts have discovered a new inhabited planet in Sector 7. The dominant species calls themselves humans, and they call their world Earth. Images appeared on the large screens around the room. They showed blue oceans, green lands, and growing cities. Then came pictures of humans going about their daily lives, building things and exploring their own solar system. As you can see, Hak Sun continued, these humans are still in the early stages of space travel. They have only reached their own moon and sent simple machines to nearby planets. Their technology is at least 200 years behind Council standards. Military Commander Tae-wan stood up from his seat. If they are so far behind us, why are we having this meeting? His voice was rough and impatient. Hak Sun nodded. A fair question, Commander. Our studies show something unusual about these humans. They adapt extremely quickly. He showed new images on the screen. Look at their history. They went from simple flying machines to space travel in less than 70 years. They developed computer technology from basic counting machines to worldwide networks in just 50 years. Murmurs spread through the room as council members discussed this information with their neighbors. I recommend immediate military action, Hak Sun said firmly. We should bring them under council control now while we still have a clear advantage. From the back of the room, a voice called out in disagreement. Senior diplomat Ji-ho stood and walked toward the center of the chamber. Unlike most council members who viewed new species with suspicion, Ji-ho had built his career on peaceful, first contacts. Respected colleagues, Ji-ho said, I strongly oppose this suggestion. Our long tradition has been to watch and study new species before making contact. We should observe these humans longer before deciding they are a threat. Tae-wan laughed. And give them time to catch up to our technology? The reports clearly show they are naturally aggressive and territorial. Their history is filled with conflicts among themselves. Imagine what they would do to us if given the chance. The debate went on for hours. Some council members agreed with Ji-ho, arguing for patience and peaceful contact. But fear was a powerful force in the room. Hak Sun's warnings about human adaptability and aggression swayed more and more representatives. We have seen species like this before, Tae-wan reminded everyone. Remember the Doran incident? We waited too long and millions died in the resulting war. We cannot make that mistake again. By the end of the day, the vote was held. The council voted 712 to 288 in favor of immediate military action against Earth. Ji-ho watched in sadness as the decision was announced. This was exactly what he had worked his whole life to prevent. You are making a terrible mistake, he told Hak Sun as they left the chamber. These humans deserve the same chance we give all species. Hak Sun shook his head. Sometimes the council must act for the greater good. Better to control them now than face them as equals later. On Earth, nobody knew anything about the Galactic Council or its decision. It was an ordinary Tuesday morning for Commander Sung-min as he arrived at South Korea's Space Defense Division headquarters. Located deep under Seoul, the facility had been built in response to growing tensions between major Earth powers over satellite technology. Any unusual activity overnight? Sung-min asked his deputy as he accepted a cup of coffee. All quiet, sir. Just the usual satellite traffic. Sung-min nodded and began reviewing the morning reports. Halfway through his coffee, a junior officer burst into the room. Commander, we're picking up something strange. Multiple objects just appeared near the moon. Sung-min rushed to the main monitoring room. The large screen showed several objects that had seemingly come from nowhere. They were moving toward Earth at incredible speed. What are they? Meteors? Satellites? He asked. The room fell silent as one of the technicians whispered, Sir, I think they're ships. Before anyone could respond, the communication systems lit up with calls from other countries. China, Russia, the United States, all were seeing the same objects. Get me the Joint Chiefs, Sungmin ordered, "and contact the president." But there was no time. Within minutes, the unknown vessels entered Earth's atmosphere. They positioned themselves above major cities and military installations around the world. In Seoul, people pointed at the sky as a massive ship, easily the size of several city blocks, hovered overhead. For a brief moment, everyone simply stared in wonder. Then the attacks began. Beams of intense light shot down from the ships, striking key military bases first. The space defense facility shook as explosions rocked the city above. "We're under attack," Sungmin shouted as ceiling tiles fell around him. "Get to the emergency bunkers." Across the globe, the pattern was the same. Washington, Beijing, Moscow, London, and dozens of other strategic locations were hit in the first wave. Military communication networks were destroyed before any coordinated response could be organized. From the relative safety of the underground bunker, Sungmin watched the limited information coming in from around the world. The attacks were precise, focusing on military targets and government centers. These weren't random strikes. The attackers knew exactly where to hit. "They've been watching us," he realized with horror. "Studying us." A young lieutenant approached, him with a satellite phone. "Sir, we've established contact with surviving units from Japan and the United States. They're requesting coordination." Sungmin took the phone. In the background, he could hear the continued sounds of destruction from above. "We never even had a chance to say hello," he whispered before speaking into the phone. "This is Commander Sungmin of South Korea. We need to establish a joint command immediately." The first day of the invasion saw Earth's military forces devastated. By nightfall, alien ground troops had begun landing in key locations. Their technology was far beyond anything humans could counter. But as Sungmin worked through the night, coordinating with surviving military leaders around the world, he noticed something. The aliens weren't trying to kill everyone. They were disabling, not destroying. Taking control, not eliminating. "They don't want to wipe us out," he told his team as a plan began forming in his mind. "They want to rule us. And that might be their biggest mistake. Because if there was one thing humans had proven throughout their history, it was their refusal to be ruled by others. The aliens had struck first, but Sungmin promised himself that humanity would have the last word. The road ahead would be difficult, perhaps impossible, but humans were nothing if not adaptable. The fight for Earth had just begun. 6 months had passed since the day the alien ships darkened Earth's skies. The world had changed completely. Major cities now had massive alien structures towering above old human buildings. Council soldiers patrolled the streets, enforcing strict curfews and rules. Overseer Hyun-ki stood at the window of his command center, once the presidential office in Seoul. He watched the human workers below, moving in orderly lines to and from their assigned jobs. On the surface, the occupation was going well. Humans were following orders. Resources were being collected. The council's control seemed complete. But Hyun-ki knew better. Another attack last night. His assistant reported. A supply convoy was hit outside Daejeon. We lost 3 transport vehicles and 6 soldiers. Hyun-ki frowned. Any captures? No, sir. The humans melted away into the countryside. Local patrols found nothing. This was becoming a pattern. While the aliens controlled the cities, the rural areas were proving difficult to manage. Humans were scattered across too many remote locations, and they knew their own land far better than the invaders. "Increase drone surveillance in that area," Hyun-ki ordered, "and double the guards on all convoys." His assistant nodded and left. Hyun-ki turned back to the window. The council had assured him that humans would break quickly under superior force. Yet 6 months later, resistance was growing, not shrinking. These creatures were more troublesome than expected. Deep beneath the ruins of Busan, in what had once been a subway maintenance tunnel, Dr. Yoon-ji carefully examined the alien device. Her makeshift laboratory was filled with captured council technology. Some pieces were intact, others had been taken apart to study their components. "Any progress?" Captain Do-hyun asked as he entered the lab. He had once been a naval officer before the invasion. Now he led one of the largest resistance groups in Korea. Yoon-ji smiled slightly. Yes, I think I've figured out how their shields work. She pointed to a small device connected to various measuring instruments. They operate on very specific frequency patterns, and the patterns repeat every 17 minutes. Do-hyun looked confused. What does that mean for us? It means we can predict when their shields are weakest, Yoonji explained. If we time our attacks exactly right, we might be able to break through their defenses. Do-hyun nodded slowly. Before the invasion, Yoonji had been one of Korea's top quantum physicists. Now her knowledge was one of humanity's greatest weapons. There's something else, she added, picking up a different piece of alien technology. They've designed their systems to be very efficient but not very flexible. They don't adapt well to unexpected situations. Unlike humans, Do-hyun said. Exactly. They expected us to surrender because their technology is superior. They never considered that we might find ways to use their own tech against them. Do-hyun smiled. For the first time in months, he felt real hope. How soon can you develop something we can use in the field? Yoonji thought for a moment. Give me 2 weeks. I'll have portable shield disruptors ready by then. In the mountains outside Seoul, 40 men and women sat in a circle around Jinwoo. Before the invasion, he had been a special forces operator. Now he was teaching ordinary people, farmers, teachers, office workers, how to fight. Remember, Jinwoo said, we cannot win through direct confrontation. We are not trying to defeat their entire army. We strike quickly, cause damage, and disappear. A young woman raised her hand. But how will that ever drive them off our planet? Jinwoo nodded. It was a fair question. By ourselves we cannot, but we are not alone. There are groups like ours, all over the world. He pointed to a homemade radio in the corner of the cave. Every day we share information with other resistance cells. We learn what works and what doesn't. He stood up and walked to a map of the local area. The aliens thought conquering Earth meant taking our cities and our governments. They didn't understand that humans don't give up so easily. They expected us to surrender. He looked around at the faces watching him. But humans don't bow easily. We adapt, we overcome. Jinwoo had been training resistance fighters for 4 months. This was his 3rd group. The first 2 were already carrying out operations against Council forces. Small attacks, but each one provided valuable information and resources. Tomorrow, we move to phase 2 of your training, he announced. We've received word that one of our scientists has made a breakthrough with alien technology. Soon we'll have new weapons to use against the invaders. Hope spread through the group. Jinwoo saw it in their eyes. When the aliens first arrived, people had been paralyzed with fear. Now that fear was turning into determination. Commander Sung-min had survived the initial attack, along with a small group of military personnel from various countries. They had established a hidden command center in an abandoned mining facility in Australia. It was one of the few places with enough communication equipment to coordinate global resistance efforts. Sung-min studied the reports coming in from around the world. The pattern was clear. Humans were organizing, adapting, and fighting back. Small victories were adding up. We have confirmation from London, a communications officer reported. They've successfully tapped into the Council's communication network. They can intercept basic messages now. Sung-min nodded. What about the Chinese team? They've captured a small scout ship. They're studying the propulsion system. Another officer approached with a tablet. Sir, Dr. Yoonji from Busan has sent new information about Council shield technology. She believes we can disrupt their defenses. Sung-min took the tablet and read quickly. This was exactly what they needed. Send this to all our technology teams immediately. Priority level 1. He turned to the large map showing known Council positions around the world. 6 months ago, the aliens had seemed invincible. Their ships could appear out of nowhere. Their weapons could destroy entire military bases in minutes. Their soldiers wore armor that no human weapon could penetrate. But humans were learning. Each day they discovered new weaknesses in Council technology. Each week they developed new ways to fight back. Send a message to all resistance cells, Sung-min ordered. Phase 2 begins next month. We're moving from defense to offense. That evening, representatives from resistance groups worldwide gathered for a secure video conference. The quantum encrypted network designed by Yunji's team allowed them to communicate without the council detecting them. "We have 3 major advantages," Sungmin explained to the group. "First, we know our planet better than they do. Second, they underestimated our ability to reverse engineer their technology. And third, they didn't establish full control before we could organize." Do-hyun spoke next from his location in Busan. "Dr. Yunji has developed a device that can temporarily disable council shields. We'll share the blueprints with all technology teams." Jin Woo reported on the growing number of trained resistance fighters. Groups in North America described successful attacks on council supply lines. European teams shared information about identifying council spies. By the end of the meeting, a coordinated plan was taking shape. Humanity would not strike blindly or desperately. They would use the council's own structure and predictability against them. "Remember," Sungmin said as the meeting concluded, "the council thought this war was over the day they attacked. They believed their superior technology guaranteed victory." He paused, looking at each of the faces on his screen. "But they were wrong. This war hasn't even started yet." As the screens went dark, Sungmin felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. The coming months would be critical. People would die. But for the first time since the invasion, he believed humans had a real chance. The council had attacked first, believing humans would fall quickly. They were about to learn a painful lesson about underestimating humanity's resilience. 1 year had passed since the council ships first appeared over Earth. The night was clear and moonless as Captain Do-hyun led his team through the outskirts of Seoul. Each person carried a backpack containing Dr. Yunji's shield disruptors. They had tested the devices on smaller targets, but tonight was different. Tonight they would attack the main council communications hub in the center of the former South Korean capital. "Remember the plan," Do-hyun whispered to his team of 20 fighters. "Team 1 creates a distraction at the east entrance. Team 2 disables the perimeter sensors. Teams 3 and 4 enter through the maintenance tunnels." Everyone nodded. They had practiced this operation for weeks, using detailed maps provided by workers forced to clean the alien facility. "The most important thing," Do-hyun continued, "is timing. The shield disruptors only work for 6 minutes. Once we activate them, the countdown begins." They moved silently toward the massive building that had once been Seoul's City Hall. Council guards patrolled the perimeter, their armor glowing faintly in the darkness. Alien drones circled overhead, scanning for unauthorized movement. At exactly midnight, Team 1 activated the first shield disruptor and aimed it at the eastern guard post. The device emitted no sound or visible light, but its effect was immediate. The blue glow surrounding the guards flickered and disappeared. Before the aliens could react, Team 1 fired specialized EMP weapons. The guards fell, their armor systems disabled. The team quickly moved to the entrance and placed explosive charges. Team 2, positioned on a nearby rooftop, activated their disruptor aimed at the building's sensor array. One by one, the spinning drones fell from the sky as their systems failed. The explosion at the east entrance echoed through the night. As planned, council forces rushed to respond to the attack. Meanwhile, Do-hyun led Teams 3 and 4 through the underground tunnels that connected to the building's basement. "Activate disruptors now," Do-hyun ordered as they reached the internal security barrier. The team members pointed their devices at the glowing force field blocking their path. Within seconds, the barrier disappeared. They moved quickly through the lower levels, planting explosive charges at key structural points and on important equipment. Any council soldiers they encountered were quickly disabled with the EMP weapons. Do-hyun checked his watch. 3 minutes remaining. Head to the central data core. The group rushed up 2 flights of stairs and down a long corridor. 2 large council guards stood before massive metal doors. Before they could sound an alarm, the human fighters fired their weapons. The guards collapsed. Inside the data room, rows of alien computers hummed with energy. This was the brain of the council's communication network for all of East Asia. "Set the data extractors," Do-hyun ordered. Two team members attached small devices to the main terminals. Dr. Yunji had designed these to copy as much information as possible in a very short time. 1 minute left, someone warned. Du Hyun nodded. Plant the final charges and prepare to withdraw. Just as the team finished setting the last explosives, their disruptors began to beep. The shields would reactivate. Any second, move out now, Du Hyun shouted. They raced back down the corridors and stairs, making it to the tunnel entrance just as their devices gave a final warning sound. The moment they entered the tunnel, they could hear the hum of the shields reactivating behind them. Everyone. Out, Du Hyun asked, counting his team members. All present. His second-in-command confirmed. When they reached a safe distance, Do Hyun pressed the detonator. The ground shook as multiple explosions ripped through the council facility. Flames shot into the night sky. The communications hub, the central point of alien control in the region, was destroyed, and more importantly, they had the data. Information about council fleet movements, security protocols, and communications codes. It was their biggest victory yet. In orbit around Earth, Commander Sung Min floated in the control room of the Defiance. The spacecraft looked nothing like traditional human ships. It was a hybrid, built with a combination of Earth technology and reverse-engineered council systems. The Defiance was humanity's first combat-ready spacecraft. Small compared to council vessels, but faster and more maneuverable. Most importantly, it incorporated Dr. Yunji's latest innovation, a cloaking system that made the ship invisible to council sensors. Target in range, reported the sensor operator. Council supply ship provision, moving on scheduled course toward the lunar base. Sung Min nodded. Maintain cloak. Move into intercept position. The Defiance silently approached the much larger alien vessel. According to their intelligence, the provision carried replacement parts and supplies for the Council's fleet. But Sung Min was more interested in its navigational database, which would contain coordinates to nearby Council worlds. Ready boarding. Teams, he ordered. 20 soldiers in spacesuits gathered in the airlock. Each carried weapons designed specifically to work against Council armor. Prepare to attach to their hull at junction point B7, Sung Min instructed. Cut through using the plasma torches. Remember, we need the ship intact and the database undamaged. The operation went perfectly. The Defiance attached to the provision without being detected. The boarding team cut through the hull and entered the alien ship. The Council crew, unprepared for an attack so close to their lunar base, were quickly overwhelmed. Within 30 minutes, Sung Min received the message he was waiting for. Ship secured. No casualties on our side. Database intact. He smiled. This was the intelligence they desperately needed. With access to the navigational system, Earth could finally take the fight to Council territory. They attacked us thinking we were primitives, Sung Min told his crew as they secured their prize. But humanity has accomplished in 1 year what took them centuries. Today we captured a ship. Tomorrow we'll take back our solar system. In the mountains outside what had once been Vancouver, Jinwoo led a different kind of mission. Intelligence had identified a council officer named Suk, who opposed the invasion of Earth. During council communication intercepts, Suk had been heard arguing that the attack on humans had been a mistake. Jinwoo's team tracked Suk's shuttle to a remote inspection site. The plan was simple. Capture, not kill. Remember, Jinwoo told his team, this one might be an ally. Use stun weapons only. The ambush was perfectly executed. As Suk and 4 guards exited their shuttle to inspect a resource collection point, Jinwoo's team struck from multiple directions. The guards were quickly neutralized and Suk was secured without injury. Back at the resistance base, Jinwoo carefully interrogated the council officer. At first, Suk refused to speak, but after learning that humans wanted to talk, not seek revenge, the alien became more cooperative. Not all council members supported the attack on your world, Suk explained. Some of us, including my people, argued for peaceful contact. Why didn't you stop it? Jinwoo asked. The military faction, led by Commander Taewon, convinced the majority that humans were dangerous. They used examples from your history to show your capacity for violence. Jinwoo nodded slowly. They judged us by our past, not our potential. Yes, Sook agreed. And now, many council worlds are questioning the decision. The occupation of Earth is costing more than expected. Your resistance is stronger than anyone predicted. This was valuable information. Jinwoo realized they might find allies among the council itself. The council isn't as unified as they want us to believe, Jinwoo reported to Sungmin later that day. We can exploit these divisions. As reports of successful operations came in from around the world, Sungmin, Do-hyun, and Yoonji met via secure communication to assess their progress. We have the communications data from Seoul, Do-hyun reported. Council encryption codes, troop deployments, everything. And we have their navigational database, Sungmin added. We know the locations of the nearest council worlds and their defense systems. Yoonji smiled. I have something too. My team has developed a new weapon based on council technology. It can disable their ship's engines without destroying them. For the first time since the invasion, the human leaders allowed themselves to feel real hope. The tide was turning. The council had attacked Earth expecting an easy victory over a primitive species. Instead, they had awakened a determined enemy that was rapidly mastering their own technology. Phase 3 begins now, Sungmin announced. We're no longer just resisting, we're taking the fight to them. Across Earth, humans prepared for the next stage of the war. The counterattack had begun. 3 years had passed since the Council first attacked Earth. The planet had changed beyond recognition. Council occupation forces, once in control of all major cities, now held only a few isolated strongholds. The rest of Earth had been reclaimed by humans. Dr. Yoonji walked through her new laboratory, built inside a mountain in what was once Switzerland. Scientists from around the world worked together here, combining human creativity with captured council technology. The final tests are complete, Yoonji announced to the gathered team leaders. The stealth systems work perfectly. Council sensors cannot detect our ships when the technology is active. This breakthrough had taken almost a year to perfect. Unlike Council stealth, which only worked for short periods, Yoonji's version could operate indefinitely. It was just one of many improvements humans had made to alien technology. How soon can we install it on the fleet? Asked one of the team leaders. Installation begins tomorrow, Yoonji replied. All 7 warships will have full stealth capability within 2 weeks. The humans had built their fleet in secret, using materials from captured council ships and factories hidden deep in remote areas. Each vessel incorporated unique human innovations that the aliens would never expect. Yoonji checked her watch. It's time for the global briefing. Admiral Sungmin will be announcing the next phase of operations. Admiral Sungmin, recently promoted to command all of Earth's military forces, stood before representatives from every major resistance group. The meeting took place in the underground headquarters beneath the Australian outback. 3 years ago, Sungmin began, we were fighting for survival. Today we fight for victory. The large screen behind him showed images of Earth's fleet. 7 warships, each named after a continent. Asia, Africa, Europe, North America, South America, Australia, and Antarctica. Smaller screens showed countless fighter craft and support vessels. The occupation forces on Earth are in full retreat, Sungmin continued. All 7 council bases are surrounded and cut off from support. Tomorrow we launch the final assault to reclaim our planet completely. Cheers erupted from the audience. For many, this moment had seemed impossible when the invasion began. But reclaiming Earth is only the beginning, Sungmin said when the room quieted. The council came to our home uninvited. It's time we returned the favor. The screen changed to show a map of nearby star systems, highlighting council worlds and military bases. Intelligence gathered from captured ships and prisoners has given us a complete picture of council territory in this sector. Their defenses are strong, but they have 3 critical weaknesses. Sungmin pointed to specific locations on the map. First, they never expected to fight an enemy in space, so their planetary defenses face outward, not inward. Second, their ships rely on a standardized shield frequency that our weapons can now penetrate. And third, they believe we are still fighting to defend Earth, not planning to attack their worlds. He looked around the room at the determined faces. Earth's fleet will depart as soon as our planet is secure. Captain Do-hyun will command our flagship Retribution. Our message to the Council will be simple. You struck first. We strike back tenfold. The final assault on Council bases was swift and decisive. Using Unji's shield disruptors and new weapons designed specifically to penetrate alien armor, human forces overwhelmed the remaining occupation troops in less than 48 hours. At the largest Council base located in what had once been Chicago, Overseer Hyun-ki requested a meeting with human commanders before the final attack. Jin Woo, now Earth's lead negotiator with Council members, entered the alien headquarters under a flag of truce. He found Hyun-ki alone in the command center. Most systems already shut down. You have defeated us, Hyun-ki said simply. I wish to surrender my forces to prevent further bloodshed. Jin Woo nodded. Your soldiers will be treated according to interstellar conventions. No harm will come to them if they lay down their weapons. Hyun-ki seemed surprised. You know our conventions? We have learned much from Council members who opposed the invasion, Jin Woo replied. Not all of your people wanted this war. The alien commander was silent for a moment. What will happen to us now? You will be held until prisoner exchanges can be arranged, Jin Woo explained. But first, you should know that Earth's fleet is preparing to depart. The war is coming to Council space. Hyun-ki's eyes widened. You cannot hope to defeat the full might of the Council. What you faced here was only a small fraction of our military power. Jin Woo smiled slightly. 3 years ago, you believed humans could not defeat even that small fraction. You were wrong then. You are wrong now. 1 week later, Earth's fleet departed the solar system. Using coordinates from captured navigational systems, they plotted a course to Valos, the nearest Council colony world. Captain Do-hyun stood on the bridge of the Retribution, watching as his crew prepared for their first faster-than-light jump. The ship was a marvel of combined technologies. Its hull was built using Council materials, but its internal systems had been completely redesigned by human engineers. All systems ready, Captain, reported his second-in-command. The fleet is in formation and awaiting your orders. Do-hyun nodded. Send the message to all ships. Operation Vengeance is now active. Stealth systems engaged. Proceed to target. The fleet vanished from conventional sensors as Unji's stealth technology activated. Then, one by one, the ships entered FTL speed, disappearing from Earth's solar system. 3 days later, they arrived at Valos. The planet was similar to Earth with blue oceans and green continents. Council cities dotted its surface, connected by a network of high-speed transport systems. Orbital platforms and a small defensive fleet protected the colony. The human ships emerged from FTL at precisely calculated positions surrounding the planet. Still cloaked, they moved into attack formation. Open a channel to all frequencies, Do-hyun ordered. When the communication officer nodded, Do-hyun spoke clearly. Attention, Council forces. This is Captain Do-hyun of Earth Fleet Vessel Retribution. You struck first. We strike back tenfold. Surrender your defense platforms and orbital vessels immediately, or we will disable them by force. The response was immediate. Valos Defense Command sent urgent messages demanding identification and threatening destruction if the unknown vessels did not withdraw. They cannot see us, Do-hyun observed, and they do not believe humans could reach their world. He turned to his weapons officer. Target defense platforms only. Disable, do not destroy. The human fleet decloaked just long enough to fire their weapons. Beams of energy, designed by Unji's team to penetrate Council shields, struck the orbital platforms. With surgical precision, one by one the defensive systems went dark. The Council ships responded by launching fighters and positioning themselves to protect the planet, but they were firing blindly, unable to locate the recloaked human vessels. Do-hyun watched as the Council forces fell into confusion, their communication channels filled with panic and contradictory orders. Second wave, he commanded. Target their engines only. Again, the human fleet briefly decloaked to fire. The specially designed weapons struck the Council ships, disabling their propulsion systems without causing catastrophic damage. Within minutes, the entire Valos defense fleet was drifting helplessly in orbit. "Open the channel again," Do-hyun ordered. "Valos Command, your defenses have been neutralized. We could destroy your ships and cities, but unlike the Council, we do not attack civilian targets. We require your immediate and unconditional surrender." In the Council headquarters on the Central World, Intelligence Director Hak-sun watched in horror as reports arrived from Valos. The colony had surrendered to human forces less than 6 hours after first contact. Similar messages soon followed from 2 other outer colonies. The humans were moving faster than anyone thought possible, using technology that somehow exceeded Council capabilities. "How is this happening?" demanded a Council member. "These were primitives just 3 years ago." Hak-sun had no answer. He remembered his words from the meeting where they had decided to attack Earth. Better to control them now than face them as equals later. But the humans had never been given the chance to be equals. The Council had struck first, expecting an easy victory. Now humanity was responding with a vengeance that no one had anticipated. "What have we awakened?" Hak-sun whispered as more reports of defeat continued to arrive. 5 years had passed since the Council's unprovoked attack on Earth. The galaxy had changed in ways no Council member could have imagined. Humanity had not only survived, but thrived. They had taken the Council's technology, improved it, and used it to carve out their own territory among the stars. Ambassador Ji-ho, the former Council diplomat who had opposed the attack on Earth, now served as the chief negotiator for the Terran Alliance. The alliance included Earth and 12 former Council worlds that had chosen to align with humans, rather than remain under Council control. Ji-ho stood at the window of his office on the Alliance headquarters station, watching ships come and go through the busy spaceport. Human vessels flew alongside ships from 5 different alien species, all members of the new alliance. "Ambassador, the delegates are ready for you," his assistant announced. Ji-ho nodded and straightened his formal robes. Today's meeting would welcome 2 more former Council worlds into the alliance. Unlike the Council, which had forced membership through military might, the alliance operated on principles of mutual defense and cooperation. Worlds joined willingly, attracted by the rapid technological advances and fair trading terms. "Remind me of their names again," Ji-ho requested as they walked to the conference room. "The representatives are Chief Spokesman Kell from Proxa and Governing Director Nali from Vestin," his assistant replied. Ji-ho smiled. Both worlds had suffered under the Council's strict resource quotas. When human forces disabled the Council's monitoring stations in their systems, these worlds had immediately reached out to negotiate alliance membership. As Ji-ho entered the conference room, all the delegates stood. 5 years ago, most of these beings had never heard of humans. Now they looked to Earth with respect and, in some cases, awe. "Welcome, friends," Ji-ho began. "Today we expand our community of free worlds. Once again." Dr. Eunji, now head of the Alliance's Science Division, stood in the center of her new laboratory on Europa, one of Jupiter's moons. Scientists from a dozen species worked at various stations around the vast complex. The facility specialized in adapting and improving technologies from across the galaxy. A group of alien scientists gathered around Eunji as she demonstrated her latest breakthrough. A communication system that worked instantly across any distance. "Council quantum communication requires relay stations," Eunji explained. "But our system needs no physical infrastructure between points. The paired particles maintain connection regardless of distance." The scientists watched in amazement as Eunji activated the device and established instant contact with a research station orbiting a star 60, light-years away. There was no delay at all. "Our greatest strength was never our weapons," she explained to the gathering of alien scientists. "It was our ability to adapt and innovate." One of the aliens, a physicist from Valos, raised a tentacle. "How did humans develop so quickly? The Council records indicated your species was centuries behind in technology." Eunji smiled. "The Council judged us by what we had, not what we could learn. When faced with extinction, humans become very motivated students." In the 5 years since the war began, Yunji's team had produced over 300 major technological breakthroughs. Each innovation was shared freely among Alliance members, raising the standard of living across all their worlds. Next week, we begin testing the first interstellar gate, Yunji announced. If successful, it will allow instant travel between any 2 points in the galaxy where a gate exists. The alien scientists buzzed with excitement. Such technology would revolutionize trade and exploration. It would also give the Alliance an unbeatable advantage over the remaining Council worlds. In the remnants of the Council's central chambers, Intelligence Director Hak-sun prepared for the most difficult meeting of his long career. The once grand hall, which had hosted representatives from thousands of worlds, now held delegates from fewer than 400. The rest had either joined the Human Alliance or declared independence. The humans have agreed to peace talks, Hak-sun informed the gathered council members. They will send representatives to a neutral location in 3 days. Peace talks? A delegate shouted angrily. They have seized our outer colonies, disabled our fleets, and stolen our technology. They should be the ones begging for peace, not dictating terms. Hak-sun shook his head sadly. We are in no position to make demands. Their technology now exceeds our own in most areas. Their fleets control all major trade routes. And most concerning, more of our worlds defect to their alliance each month. The truth was harsh but undeniable. In just 5 years, humans had gone from a species facing extinction to the dominant power in the sector. The Council, which had ruled for millennia, was reduced to a fraction of its former territory and influence. We have no choice, Hak-sun concluded. We must negotiate the best terms we can or risk losing everything. The peace conference took place on a space station in neutral territory. Admiral Sungmin and Ambassador Jiho represented Earth, while Admiral Do-hyun commanded the honor guard of Alliance ships surrounding the station. Security Director Jin-woo personally swept the conference room for any threats before allowing the delegates to enter. 5 years of war had made him cautious, especially when dealing with the Council. Hak-sun led the Council delegation. As he entered the room, he couldn't help but marvel at how much had changed. The humans, once considered primitives, now held the power to determine the Council's fate. You could destroy us completely, Hak-sun acknowledged during the opening statements. Your forces have defeated our best ships. Your technology surpasses our own. Why seek peace now? Jin-woo, standing beside Admiral Sungmin, answered simply, because we're human. We fought because we had to. We'll make peace because we choose to. The negotiations lasted for 3 days. The terms were firm but fair. The Council would be allowed to maintain control of its remaining worlds. All occupied planets would vote whether to join the Alliance, return to the Council, or become independent. A demilitarized zone would separate Council and Alliance space. Most importantly, a joint committee would be established to handle disputes, ensuring that diplomacy, not military action, would resolve future conflicts. When the treaty was signed, Admiral Sungmin stood to address both delegations. 5 years ago, the Council made a grave mistake. They judged humanity by our technology, not our potential. They attacked first, believing us weak and primitive. He looked directly at Hak-sun. They learned that humans aren't defined by our technology but by our spirit. Attack us and we hit back tenfold, but offer us friendship and we'll move mountains to keep it. Hak-sun lowered his eyes. The lesson had been learned at terrible cost. 1 month after the peace treaty was signed, Admiral Sungmin stood on the observation deck of Earth's newest flagship, the Unity. The massive vessel represented the best of Alliance technology with contributions from all member species. Beside him stood Jiho, Do-hyun, Jin-woo, and Yunji. Together they had guided humanity from the brink of destruction to the dawn of a new era. What next? Do-hyun asked, gazing out at the stars. We've secured our place in the galaxy. The Council is no longer a threat. We explore, Sungmin replied. The galaxy is vast and we've seen only a tiny fraction of it. There are new worlds to discover, new species to meet. And this time, Jiho added, we'll make first contact the right way. with respect and friendship, not fear and aggression. Yunji smiled as she looked at the star chart displaying thousands of unexplored systems. The Council feared our potential. They never understood that human innovation thrives best in cooperation, not conflict. Jinwoo nodded. They attacked first thinking it would keep them safe. Instead, it brought about the very future they feared. As the Unity prepared for its maiden voyage of exploration, Sungmin reflected on the journey that had brought humanity to this moment. From a single planet under attack to the center of a growing alliance of worlds, from victims to victors to peacekeepers. The Council had attacked first, never expecting such a response. Humanity had indeed hit back tenfold, but their greatest victory wasn't military. It was creating something new and better from the ashes of conflict. The stars beckoned, and this time, humanity would approach them not as conquerors, but as explorers and friends. The end.